Everything you know about reality is based on assumptions. You wake up, open your eyes, and assume the world you see is real. You assume time flows forward, that the past is behind you and the future is ahead. You assume you are a single, continuous self, moving through life, making choices. But what if none of this is true? What if the reality you experience is nothing more than a construct, an illusion carefully designed by your own mind? What if the very fabric of existence contradicts itself in ways that make no logical sense? Throughout history, philosophers and scientists have uncovered paradoxes that shatter our basic understanding of reality. And once you see them, you can never unsee them. Take time, for example. We experience it as a straight line: past, present, future. But physics tells us time isn't linear. The laws of the universe don't actually distinguish between past and future. In fact, at the quantum level, time can even flow backward. But if time isn't a straight line, what does that mean for cause and effect? What if the future can influence the past? What if your choices today are being shaped by something that hasn't even happened yet? And if time is an illusion, then what does that say about your memories, your identity, your entire sense of self? Are you truly the person you remember yourself to be, or is that just a story your brain is telling you, a story that might not even be real? Now, consider the paradox of free will. You feel like you're making choices, but are you? Every decision you make is based on thoughts that arise in your mind. But did you choose those thoughts? Did you decide to want what you want? Neuroscience suggests that decisions are made in the brain before you are even aware of them. If that's true, then are you really in control of anything? Or are you just watching your life unfold, convincing yourself that you're the one steering the ship? And if free will is an illusion, then what does that mean for morality, responsibility, and the very structure of society? If no one is truly making choices, can anyone be blamed for anything? Then there's the paradox of perception. You assume the world exists as you see it, but your eyes don't see reality, they filter it. Your brain takes in limited information and constructs an image of the world. But what if the world you see isn't the world as it actually is? Science tells us that colors don't exist outside of our perception. Sound is just vibrations until your brain interprets it as noise. Even the objects around you, solid, stable, are mostly empty space at the atomic level. So what is real? The world as you experience it, or the world as it actually is? And if everything you perceive is just a mental reconstruction, then how can you be sure that anything exists beyond your own mind?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
The hidden structure of reality, why everything you know is an illusion. Your mind is not showing you reality, it's showing you a simplified version, a hallucination that helps you survive. Every color you see is just your brain's way of labeling different wavelengths of light. Every sound you hear is just air vibrating, turned into meaning inside your head. Even the feeling of solidity, the sense that objects are solid and separate from each other, is an illusion. At the atomic level, everything is mostly empty space. The chair you're sitting on, the screen you're looking at, even your own body, it's all made of particles that never actually touch each other, held together by invisible forces. So if nothing is truly solid, if everything is just energy interacting in strange ways, then what does it mean for something to be real? And if your brain is fabricating your entire experience, then what is reality outside of your perception? Then there's the paradox of the self. You believe you are a single, continuous being, the same person who existed yesterday and the day before. But every cell in your body is constantly dying and being replaced. The atoms that make up your body today are not the same atoms that made up your body years ago. Even your thoughts, your personality, your beliefs, these things are always shifting. So if everything about you is changing, then who are you really? If you strip away your memories, your habits, your physical form, what is left? Are you just a process, a pattern, a temporary ripple in the vast ocean of existence? And if your sense of self is just another illusion, then what happens when you stop clinging to it? Would you still be afraid of death if you realized you were never truly separate from the universe in the first place? Now think about the paradox of cause and effect. We assume things happen in a logical order. Cause leads to effect. Action leads to consequence. But at the quantum level, this breaks down. In certain experiments, particles seem to make decisions based on events that haven't happened yet. Some theories even suggest that the universe itself might be shaped by the future just as much as by the past. If that's true, then what does it mean for your choices? What if your decisions today are not just affecting the future, but also rewriting the past? What if reality itself is not a fixed sequence of events, but something much stranger, something fluid, where time loops on itself in ways we can't yet understand? And if time doesn't work the way we think it does, then what does that mean for destiny, for free will, for everything we believe about how life unfolds? If everything you experience is just a construction of your mind, then what happens when you remove the mind? Does reality still exist without an observer? Quantum mechanics suggests that observation itself changes reality. Before being measured, particles exist in a state of probability, existing everywhere and nowhere at once. Only when observed do they choose a definite state. This isn't just theoretical, it has been tested repeatedly, and the results are always the same. If observation creates reality, then what was there before anything was observed? And if nothing exists in a definite state until it is measured, then is reality just a product of consciousness? Could it be that the physical world is not fundamental, but that consciousness itself is the foundation of existence? If that's true, then what are you? Are you a mind inside a body, or is the body just another illusion generated by consciousness? Now consider the paradox of nothingness. We assume that existence is the default state, that reality simply is. But why should there be something rather than nothing? If we rewind time far enough, before the universe, before space, before energy, we reach a point where there is no reason for anything to exist at all. And yet, here we are. Some theories suggest that the universe came from a quantum fluctuation, that something can emerge from nothing. But even that explanation requires laws of physics to exist first. Where did those laws come from? If nothingness is truly nothing, no space, no time, no possibility, then how could existence have ever arisen? And if reality had to come from somewhere, then what caused it? Something outside of space and time. But if something existed outside of space and time, wouldn't that just be another form of reality? If you follow this question to its logical conclusion, you reach a contradiction. Reality cannot exist, and yet it does. Then there's the paradox of meaning. We spend our lives searching for purpose, chasing goals, trying to make sense of everything. But meaning itself is something we create. The universe does not come with instructions. A rock does not wonder why it exists. A star does not question its purpose. Only human beings do this because we have minds capable of abstraction. But if meaning is something we invent, then is any meaning truly real? Or is it just another illusion, like time, self, and solidity? And if meaning is an illusion, then why does it feel so real? Why do we care so deeply about things that, on a cosmic scale, are insignificant? If the universe will eventually fade into entropy, if everything we do will be forgotten, then what is the point of anything? Or is the very need for a point just another trick of the mind? Maybe the greatest paradox of all is that meaning is both an illusion and the only thing that makes existence bearable. Maybe reality itself is not something to be solved, but something to be experienced without resistance, without needing to make sense of it. Because in the end, the moment you stop trying to grasp reality, the moment you let go of needing it to be anything at all, it simply is. And maybe that is enough. The illusion of separation, why you were never an individual to begin with. You think of yourself as separate from the world, as an individual moving through life, making choices, shaping your destiny. But this separation is an illusion. The atoms in your body were once inside stars that exploded billions of years ago. The air you breathe was once in the lungs of countless other beings. The thoughts in your mind are not truly yours, they are shaped by language, culture, experiences you did not choose. Even your emotions, your desires, your fears, are they really yours? Or are they echoes of something much older, passed down through generations, shaped by forces beyond your control? You are not separate from the universe, you are the universe, experiencing itself from a particular point of view. The boundaries you believe in between self and other, between mind and matter, are constructs. If you dissolve them, what remains? If you are not truly separate from anything, then what does it mean to be you? And then there's the paradox of control. You move through life believing you have power over your actions, your choices, your future. But control is a fiction. Every decision you make is influenced by factors you don't perceive: your biology, your upbringing, the millions of hidden variables that shape your thoughts before you even become aware of them. The more you try to control life, the more resistance you feel. But the moment you let go, everything flows effortlessly. The people who cling the hardest to control over their success, their relationships, their emotions, are the ones who suffer the most. But those who surrender, who move with life instead of against it, find a strange kind of freedom. If you stop trying to control reality and simply allow it to unfold, what happens? Does life fall apart, or does it finally start to make sense? If control itself is an illusion, then maybe freedom isn't about having power, it's about realizing you never needed it in the first place. And finally, the paradox of existence itself. Everything you experience happens within consciousness. You have never directly interacted with the physical world, only with your perception of it. But where does consciousness come from? Science can explain how the brain processes information, how neurons fire, how signals move through the nervous system. But no one has ever explained why any of this creates experience. Why is there something it feels like to be you? Why isn't the universe just a collection of unconscious matter, moving according to physical laws, with no awareness at all? Some theories suggest that consciousness is not produced by the brain, but is a fundamental aspect of reality, just as fundamental as space, time, and energy. If that's true, then you are not a being trapped inside a body, you are consciousness itself, temporarily localized in human form. And if consciousness is the foundation of reality, then maybe death is not the end, because maybe you were never truly born to begin with. Maybe you have always existed, not as a person, not as a mind, but as reality itself, experiencing itself from infinite perspectives. And if that's true, then the greatest illusion of all is that you were ever separate from anything. The final illusion why there was never anything to fear. Fear only exists because of attachment. You fear losing what you think is yours, your identity, your success, your relationships, your life. But none of these things were ever truly yours to begin with. Everything you call you is temporary, constantly changing, dissolving the moment you try to hold on to it. The person you were 5 years ago is gone. The person you are now is vanishing with every passing second. Even your thoughts, your emotions, your desires, none of them stay the same. So what exactly are you afraid of losing? If everything is impermanent, then was anything ever really possessed? The tighter you cling to something, the more you suffer when it inevitably slips away. But the moment you stop grasping, the moment you accept that nothing is truly yours, fear disappears. If nothing can be owned, then nothing can be lost. And if nothing can be lost, what is there to be afraid of? Then there's the paradox of effort. People spend their lives striving, chasing success, chasing happiness, chasing meaning. But the more you chase something, the more it eludes you. Happiness is not found by running after it, it arises when you stop needing it to be a certain way. Success comes not from obsession but from alignment, doing what naturally flows, without forcing. Even meaning itself is not something to be discovered, but something that emerges when you stop demanding that life provide it. The greatest artists, thinkers, and innovators don't create out of desperation, they create because they have let go of the need to control the outcome. The most peaceful people are not those who have mastered life, but those who have stopped fighting against it. If effort itself is often the barrier, then what happens when you let go? Does life collapse, or does everything start to fall into place effortlessly? What if the very thing you've been struggling for has been trying to reach you all along, but your resistance has been blocking it? And finally, the paradox of endings. You fear endings because you believe they are real. You fear death because you think it is the opposite of life. But nothing ever truly ends, things only change form. The wave does not die when it crashes onto the shore, it simply becomes part of the ocean again. The cloud does not cease to exist when it disappears from the sky, it returns to the air, to the water, to the cycle of existence. And you, whatever you truly are no different. If you were never separate from the universe, if you were never truly an individual to begin with, then what is there to end? Maybe the greatest misunderstanding of all is that you were ever a separate being who could end in the first place. Maybe what you call you is just the universe temporarily experiencing itself in a particular way before shifting into something else. And if that's true, then all fear, all struggle, all resistance was never necessary. Because there was never anything to lose. There was never anything to win. There was only this moment, this experience, this infinite, ever-changing now, and that was always enough. Everything you think of as an ending is just a transition. The moment a sound fades, it merges into silence. But silence itself is not nothing, it is the space in which all sound arises. The moment a fire burns out, its heat does not vanish, it spreads into the air, into the bodies of those who stood near it, into the energy of the universe. When a person dies, their body does not disappear, it returns to the earth, to the atoms that will become something else. Even your thoughts, your emotions, where do they go when they leave you? Do they simply vanish, or do they ripple outward, shaping others, shaping the world in ways you cannot see? If nothing is ever truly lost, then what does it mean to end? Maybe endings are just an illusion created by a mind that has been trained to see separations where there are none. Then there's the paradox of experience. You assume that life is happening to you, that you are a subject moving through the world, interacting with objects, making choices. But where is the boundary between you and experience? When you listen to music, where does the song end and the listener begin? When you feel love, is it something you have or something you are? Even the idea that you are inside your body is just a habit of perception. Your skin does not separate you from the world, it connects you to it. The air you breathe was once inside another being. The light entering your eyes has traveled across space to reach you. The sounds you hear are vibrations moving through the environment, touching you before they even enter your mind. If you remove the illusion of separation, life is not happening to you, life is just happening, and you are part of it. And finally, the paradox of reality itself. You search for truth, for something solid beneath the illusions, for something real in a world that seems to constantly shift. But what if reality has no fixed form? What if it is not a thing to be grasped, but a process to be experienced? The tree does not worry about whether it is real, it simply grows. The river does not question its direction, it simply flows. The stars do not seek meaning, they simply shine. Maybe reality is not something that needs to be understood, it is something that simply is. And when you stop trying to define it, to hold it, to make it fit into words and concepts, something strange happens. The need to understand disappears. The struggle to find meaning dissolves. And all that remains is this moment, this experience, this endless unfolding of existence, happening with or without your permission. Maybe the greatest illusion of all was that anything needed to be figured out in the first place.